Welcome everybody to another episode of the Polynesian Ice Podcast. Today you have Tua and Mussy all the way from New Zealand. How's it going, Mussy?
It is going good. A little wet today. It's starting to head to our winter here in New Zealand, but so far, so good.
Nice. It's a great weekend here in the Lone Star State in South Central Texas, here in San Antonio. Weather is getting warmer and warmer, so we're getting ourselves ready for a hot summer. So we'll keep getting ready for that. These are always the times that you're like, yeah, show you're a real Texan when it's summertime. um, all right, today's program, we have a pretty exciting topic here we wanted to discuss. Recently, in the last week or so, Jordan Mailata just announced a massive signing of extension of his contract, over $100 million deal, and I think it's around 22 million a year. We'll walk through some of those details, but really wanted to have a discussion about kind of like his journey, his rugby background, and really kind of the experience that he had. What kind of familiarity do you have with Jordan Masi? When did you hear of him, and kind of your
Yeah.
initial thoughts when you heard that story?
Um, I kind of knew Jordan Mailata in the early stages because I tend to follow a lot of the Tongan and Samoan players, up and coming players. So I kind of knew he was part of the international pathway, and I kind of heard of him there, and actually was surprised when he was selected in the draft, and there was a big kudos to him because of his hard work. So now I'm happy that he's seen the result of his hard work and perseverance because I saw one interview he mentioned he was 7 years alone, kind of just preparing and even when he got selected, that being by himself to try to prove himself that he was worthy enough of that pick. And yeah, he's paying it off. He's doing really well for himself and his family. So very happy for him.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. I remember hearing about him.
Mm,
There were a couple Polynesians that were kind of coming out of like that Australia pipeline. There was that one kid, it was him, and then there was another kid that went to college, I think,
yes,
went to
Daniel.
Minnesota.
Yes, Daniel. Say Fatele or something.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's in the NFL too.
yeah.
So
And
Baltimore.
what really makes Jordan's journey special is I don't know of anyone else never played a single down of football and
Mm,
drafted.
yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
think I think that may have been a first ever.
yeah.
Just because football is so specialized, and in some of our discussions previously,
Mm,
Mussy, for some of our listeners from across the world that aren't as familiar with football, football is a massive organization to try and run. Even in high school, you're talking to at on average anywhere between 60 to 100 kids, pads,
mm,
you have equipment managers, you have trainers, you have,
mm,
just moving the team around. It is, and
mm,
and all the equipment, the training facilities, it's an expensive and a massive effort to do. And so really the chances and the probability of not growing up in that whole system and getting drafted, that is just, I mean,
amazing.
that's
Yeah, it's amazing.
phenomenal.
Yes, it's amazing. And just to share with the audience too, getting drafted. What's the percentages of actually people even going from college to the NFL? Do I don't know what's the percentage, but it's super rare.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
know
we
there's
can we can let's look at that up. Like let's look at the
yeah, just
you
it's
know
just a good example just to show like it is not easy what Jordan Mailata did going to get drafted, not playing a down of football, and he was picked over hundreds of athletes who actually was playing from Pop Warner, which is like the youth leagues, high school, college, D1 college, D2, all levels of college, and they still had faith to pick on Jordan Mailata. So it's a big kudos to him, and probably a lot of credit probably needs to go to his probably his family, the way he was raised because not only that, some people after their first contract don't even go past that. But for him to get to his, I think he's on his third one, is
Mhm.
big kudos to him, his family, part of the way he was raised. But yeah,
Yeah, because this would be his third. It would have been his rookie contract, right? And then he did like what, a 60 million
yes,
ish, and then now 100 million. I mean,
100 million.
and here are the stats, Mussy. Over 1 million high school football players, 2.5% are
Mm,
eligible to play NCAA D1. So that's D1. To go to a D1 college, 2.6% are eligible. 22% are draft eligible, but only 1.5% get a slot in the NFL. So I mean, and that is growing up playing football. That's playing football
mhm,
through high school, through college, being able to compete. So really, he kind of opened up a whole new pathway of getting into the NFL because I mean, pretty much if you didn't get to college,
yeah,
you didn't have an NFL career. Like that just
yeah,
wasn't going to happen. Like really, the gateway to the NFL was to go through college football.
yeah.
And he did something really phenomenal, and a lot of credit to like you said, to his family and also to him as an individual.
Mm,
There's one thing to have all the physical talent and the capabilities, but the mental and
mm,
emotional strength and maturity to
mm,
kind of endure that is something really, really crazy. So one of the first things we're going to do is let's take a look at some of his rugby league highlights real quick.
mm.
Just take a look
Yeah.
at, this is Jordan Mailata at 19 years old, and his some of his highlights from the NRL. He was running kind of like a rookie kind of
Mm,
deal with the South Sydney Rabbitohs.
yeah.
And so we'll walk through that and just kind of look at some of the capabilities he had as a rugby league player.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some honestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable.
Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant, modern kingdom for the taking.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love
very, very good for a big man like that to move that quick, and
Yes.
that's why probably NFL guys really, really saw a lot of potential and transferable skills, man.
Yeah, and to kind of go along with what you're saying, Mussy. So let's now that we've seen that, let's look at some of his measurables, right?
Hmm.
So let's go back and put it here to a larger screen so we can take a look at it. 6'8", 365 pounds.
Ooh.
Right? I mean that's a big boy. That is a
Mm.
very big boy. And let's see his 40 was a 5'1", so basically ran his 40
Mm.
in 5 flat. So 6'7", 6'8",
Mhm.
you know, 360, 340 pounds, whatever that is. That's impressive. That
That
is
is-
a monster moving right there. One of the things that I really stuck out to me is really good movement, good footwork, right? And all those highlights that we saw, Mussy, as we're kind of let me mute this bad boy here, and then we just have it playing in the background here. Is footwork, man. Footwork and the power he can generate with people. Look at in the hands, the use of the hands right there. That's something that really stuck out to me when we were watching the video. And we'll see here is this is a good tackle he puts on there. So obviously he can hit. But look at the footwork, the power with people on him in the hands.
uses his stiff arm. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are pretty transferable to football, right? As an O lineman,
Mhm.
you got to use your hands, and that's something
Quick
that's
feet,
critical.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And also one thing I did like, and this is not quite showcasing it here, but his in running in rugby league, it's about picking the gap you're going to run through.
Mhm.
And in some of these open up runs, he's running at a good angle, and then he's selecting a specific gap to run through. I'm really just surprised why a NRL team didn't really go after him. Typically, the NRL is pretty good at this stuff of highlighting a talent. Because this looks.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say they say that he didn't have stamina, and they kept telling him to lose weight, keep losing weight, and it came to a point, like to a tipping point, that Jordan Mailata said, "I can't lose any more weight." Like
Exactly.
it was hurting. It was actually hurting his ability to even be on the field. So
Because
that
look
was
at him, he's lean. Like that is not. I mean, that is. He's just a big boy. I mean, like look at his body size and everything. There's not a lot of fat there, man. He's pretty lean.
Yeah, and I think and this is just my perspective, Tua, because I don't think the NRL guys are just they didn't because they maybe they look at guys all the same. I don't think they put enough time to maybe specifically use Jordan Mailata for situations because
Mhm.
that's just my opinion. Just looking how NFL, because even the NFL guys use certain guys for certain set of
Yeah.
plays to highlight their skill, so or even their strengths. So that's just me, and he could have played in the NRL for different situations. Even like he probably because of his weight he couldn't play the entire 80 minutes of the league, but I feel like he could have made a career in the NRL with his
No, but
size and movement, getting
but
them
that
meters and tries.
but that's the thing though. The NRL is specifically built for the interchange. Like you're not expecting a dude to go 80 minutes. Like in rugby union. In rugby union, once you can't sub in and out. Like you're kind of done. The rugby league's much more flexible in that, and it just I'm kind of surprised. But hey,
It was a
anyways,
miss. It was a miss, but
definitely a miss.
that missed opportunity, he triple blessed Mailata family and Jordan
Exactly.
Mailata.
And so I mean he's from Bankstown. So I just kind of pulled this out here. It's just southwest of Sydney. It's right here. It's in New South Wales. So the Blues, come on, man. You guys have been struggling to the Reds here in Queensland, man. You guys could have had a massive monster helping you guys win that state of origin. But so yeah, kind of interesting situation there. I do have
So I think all those skills that we kind of identified, Tua, that was his strength. The only big challenge, and this is why he really had a good opportunity. I know there was Jared Hayne, Valentine Holmes, who tried to crack the NFL. I feel like they fell short because I feel like they were a bit older. I feel like it's really the hardest part with the learning the NFL football. I don't think it's a lot of the physical stuff. It's a lot of it. It's the playbook and the certain kind of language it's used. Because I feel like that. I think Jordan Mailata, I saw one of his interviews. He said that was by far the
yeah,
mental understanding of the playbooks and the language and the nuances. There's a football nuance on certain things, and that's really difficult because I feel like NBA when you do about playbooks and stuff, and that's why it's not too hard when you get other people who don't speak the same language in a sense. But when you get to football, it's like a whole different,
yeah,
if you got to have everybody on the same page, understanding these football language and nuances. But
and it's
yeah,
complex, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
complex because
yeah.
even for Jordan Mailata doing the protection schemes and adjustments last
Mm,
minute because defenses change and they move. And yeah, it's definitely complex. I mean, it's the playbook in football is like a textbook, right?
mm,
It's literally like a textbook. It's not like rugby where you have like patterns. Rugby is more based off of patterns and decisions of individual players on the field.
mm,
Football, man, the coach is calling a specific play and you practice. Everybody has to do a specific task at a specific time and to achieve one purpose, right? And
mm,
there's not a lot of freedom given to players. And so
mm.
you have to follow through with what you got, and it gets complex. I mean, some of these
Yeah,
plays get
yeah,
pretty crazy.
yeah.
So we're gonna let's kind of just watch through this video here, Mussy. And this
Mhm.
is kind of the a storyline on Jordan Mailata, how he got there. We can just have some comments as we watch through. It's about a 11-minute video, and it just kind of goes through his story. This is a ESPN kind of special that they did on Jordan and his
Nice.
journey.
I grew up in Bankstown, Australia. I'm from a family of 7, 5 kids, 1 girl, 4 boys. My dad, he's from Samoa, so is my mum.
They migrated to Australia because they wanted their kids to have more than what they had.
Growing up with my siblings, kind of just did everything, played basically any.
I want to go back there. So he's 6'8", right? So that's his sibling right there. He's probably like what 6'2", 6'3",
Yeah, yeah.
standing right next to him, and this is like a younger brother. He looks relatively young.
Hmm.
So they're big boys in this family,
Yeah, yeah.
So okay.
Siblings, kind of just did everything, played basically anything that we could get our hands on, any sport.
He's always been a special kid. He's very stubborn when he wants to be, but at the same time, he's got a big heart.
We didn't have a fancy lifestyle, but we had a good one.
I was the first of my siblings to ask my dad to play club rugby. My dad,
Do you know if he's the oldest? Is he the oldest?
No, he's not. I think that brother that just came on
He's probably
is
older than him.
it did say he's the older brother
Okay.
of Jordan Mailata, and I don't know if he's older than his sister. I think he may be younger, but yeah, no, I was just thinking to like a typical Polynesian family, migrating from Samoa to Australia just to seek for I think actually probably came to New Zealand and then from New Zealand to Australia, yeah, seeking just more opportunities. So yeah, pretty. I think that's pretty universal understanding for many Polynesian families
Yeah.
today.
And then really that's for some of our listeners that are not, are here in the US and not as familiar. This is the lifeblood of New Zealand and Australian rugby. Is this kind of story that Jordan Mailata is sharing, right? A Polynesian family that's moving to New Zealand or Australia, looking for a new opportunity, having a large family, a lot of kids with raw talent, right? Capability that could play almost any sport. And it just so happens that the major sports in Australia and New Zealand are rugby. And so this is a very standard and common storyline that you would say about a lot of Polynesians in New Zealand and Australia.
Dad looked at me and he was like, "Don't mess this up." I was like, "Okay, this is a tremendous amount of pressure for an 11-year-old,
My dad saw footy as a way out. Me and my brothers, we were gifted in rugby league, and there were pathways for some of us.
At the age of 20, I joined club rugby, had a $5 carousel with my two brothers and my best friend. I ended up having a pretty decent year, turned some heads. The South Sydney Rabbitohs, they basically offered me a walk-on contract. Kind of just took off from there.
His size and strength, he would break the game open. You got him in situations where he could be on a one-on-one with someone. He was very hard to stop.
And kind of coming back to what you're talking about, Mussy, like, I mean, when you're playing rugby league, I guess the defense is difficult, because you got to go back to 10 meters and going forward. But on offense, dude, you got like your first three are pretty much hit ups, right? And then your fourth, third, and fourth could be kind of a little bit more type of a passing and long attack, and then like your fifth tackle, you kick the ball. So, I mean, I'm just kind of shocked that the NRL didn't pick up. I mean, there's some guys like Solomona, the big Samoan dude who plays for the Kiwis. He played for the Melbourne Storm. He's about that size.
That Nielsen, Nielsen,
Solomona. Yeah, like, I mean, I'm just, and the way he runs with the ball, like footwork.
It was a miss. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just kind of, I'm wondering, and I was thinking about this as I was thinking about the show today, Mussy. And I'll save the comment for when we get to it, because I think there's a relevant comparison, because it's been on my head, like, why would they let him go? And when it gets to the part, and it'll get up to it soon, I'll share you my thoughts, and I want to get your feedback to another athlete in another sport that's comparable. But we'll come here and just kind of let it get along to that point.
Okay.
There's not one game that he played for the Rabbitohs where he didn't look in the stands and didn't see his family.
Okay. We'll edit out the commercials, making more work for me.
B-side is an outdoorsman's paradise.
By the end of the season, I was able to put a highlight tape together, and no club was kind of giving me a chance. I had a chip on my shoulder.
That's
Agents
crazy.
had mentioned something about the NFL.
Before he gets into that highlight reel is number one is especially in today's world, man, a highlight reel for any athlete is an absolute must. Right? Yeah. I mean, that's an absolute must. So any of these upcoming athletes, even if you're in Australia, New Zealand, absolutely. In America, that's like a given now, right? In America, in high school sports, that's like an absolute given. Wasn't necessarily the case when I was in high school in Hawaii. But that highlight reel made a big impact for him later on in the story. But I wanted to get your thoughts, Mussy, because I think there might be a parallel here with Jordan Mailata and Francis Ngannou. Right?
Okay.
And the UFC, where basically, I think you and I agree, like, this guy, there's no reason why he couldn't make a team in the NRL.
Yeah.
Just looking, I mean, and now it's kind of like a no-brainer. But he showed enough. He showed enough from what I'm kind of seeing from the highlights. Yeah. I wonder if a lot of these NRL teams were just thinking we can just try and get him for nothing, right? The Rabbitohs got him to walk on, quote unquote, right? Like got him to walk on. I wonder how, he was 11 years old, I think, when he started playing.
Yeah.
He probably didn't get a lot of exposure. Like Jason Taumalolo was like 13 when the Cowboys brought him over from New Zealand, right? So Jordan may not have gotten a lot of the eyeballs when he was younger. And sometimes that works against you in trying to make a name for yourself. And I'm wondering if some of these NRL teams were just thinking, because this is a common story, right?
Yeah.
Polynesian kid coming up, he really, an opportunity to get to the NRL, and kind of like how Francis was with Dana White, like, oh, what is Francis gonna do, right? He needs the UFC more than the UFC needs him. And I'm wondering if the NRL teams kind of treated Jordan in the same fashion, where they're like, well, what are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go? We're the NRL, And because he put that highlight together, and we'll see here, it looks like the NFL pathway guys were like, what the heck? Because any coach in college or the NFL's what's shocking about the NFL is because the NFL is such a, you need to produce now, right? There's not a lot of patience and discipline in the NFL to say, hey, we're going to develop you over 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So
that's more of a college thinking, right?
Yes.
Right. We'll get you your raw talent from high school, because usually high school is very raw talent. University, college level is definitely that development timeline. Yeah. Well, I was just thinking too. I think a lot of NFL guys or teams take a chance on international players because there's a guaranteed spot. Like, how you get your 53-man roster, right? These are your guys who can produce with you now. But apparently, these international pathways, you can have a 54, and they won't count
it against you. Oh, I did not know that. Oh, so that's how they promote that. Smart, really smart by the NFL. Really smart. I did not know that. I mean,
that's why the NFL is the great. Like you talk about to optimize your revenue. NFL is the best.
Yeah.
They're
I mean, each franchise is at least $1 billion, right? The larger franchise are multi-billion, but I think every franchise in the NFL is at least $1 billion or very close to it.
Yeah, Dallas Cowboys is the most value franchise
sports
in the entire
team
world.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I really think, and looking at it now, and as we look at this story, to me, I see a lot of similarities as I was thinking about it today with Jordan Mailata and Francis Ngannou, where he's like, you know what? You guys seem to not be taking me seriously in the UFC as I think I'm worth it. So he's like, okay, I'm going to bet on myself, and I'm going to go and, it was a long shot, but look, Francis, he's now what, $30-40 million, where his 8 fights or whatever in the UFC barely broke a couple million, maybe.
Yeah.
You know? So
no, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you too. And I'm a fan of Dana White, but he definitely missed on that one because Francis bet on himself, and he is financially doing very well. I think he's had 2 boxing fights that's gave him his money that he's the most money he's ever made compared to his entire UFC career. So yeah, I think that was a miss on the UFC, particularly on Dana White, and it's very similar to this situation. The NRL definitely missed on Jordan Mailata, and the NFL has, triple or quadruple gave Jordan Mailata the most money he's ever gonna probably see, because if he was in the NRL, he would not even get even close to the money he's having now. So
you know what would be hilarious? You know what would be hilarious? Jordan Mailata ends up buying a couple NRL teams.
He by the end of his career, he probably could not even buy some NRL team. He could probably buy the NRL organization by the time, because after he's on his 3rd one, I believe if he stays healthy, he can get one more big
payday.
Contract. Yes, if he relatively healthy. So man, yeah, he could buy the NRL if he.
Well, and that's the thing, dude. And with the position that he's in, right?
Mm.
Let's say he gets one more big paycheck. Then let's say for whatever reason he doesn't necessarily make a team, but he plays left tackle. Teams are gonna have, if their left tackle gets hurt, because that's the reason why Jordan Mailata makes this money. For those who aren't as familiar with football, the left tackle, typically when you have a right-handed quarterback, the blind spot for your quarterback, is on the left. So you put your best tackle on the left, because why? That's the biggest risk the quarterback has. So your left tackle, or whoever's on the blind spot of your quarterback, you pay him a ton of money, because that's insurance for your biggest asset, which is the quarterback. That's why Jordan is making hundreds of millions of dollars, is because his job is a critical piece. He is the insurance plan to keep your biggest asset, the quarterback, safe.
Yeah.
And so that's a big thing, and it's exciting to see what Jordan does with his career. But let's kind of continue here with his storyline.
About this program that they knew about called the NFL International Player Pathway Program.
We were sitting in a parking lot waiting to work someone else out, and I got a text just of a video clip of a guy playing rugby.
Yeah.
We set up a chance to meet in LA. We worked him out there, and he had a great workout. From there, kind of the next thing was to get him on the program, and that's when we took him to IMG in Bradenton.
Here we are, Big Jordan Lafunga Mailata.
By January 14th, I was on the way to IMG Academy, Florida, to participate in the NFL IPP.
What's good, homie? This was good. Here, about to leave Sydney, Australia, go to Tampa Bay, Florida. So, see you guys soon.
I was pissed. He was 20. We don't have family where he was going. He never held an American football.
I basically said to him, you can't fail. You're going. Go make it.
He just took a bet on himself, man. He just said, you know what? I'm gonna bet on myself, my athletic ability. NRL doesn't think I have it in me to be a professional at something, so I'm gonna bet on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that highlight video was a big part of getting him that opportunity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you see 6'7", 6'8", 360 pounds moving like that, NFL scouts are like, the eyeballs are this big.
Yeah. Give this guy a chance. Let's see what he can do. And and that's all you can ask for as an athlete, right? Just a chance. So good on him.
A day in the life of the guy on the International Player Pathway Program, it's hard.
Adam held us to the highest of standards. From the very start, they're very adamant on routine, on the details. We used to simulate the days of an NFL schedule.
What you said.
The IPP program is a program that was set up to give an opportunity for people around the world to get a pathway into the NFL.
I wanted to prove to Americans that not only Americans can play in the NFL.
At the time, Howie had asked me if I would go down to Bradenton to evaluate and work out an offensive line prospect. And I had told him that I had this trip planned and I really was not interested in going to Bradenton. I canceled that trip.
Coach Stout, from the first day that I met him, I said, holy cow, this guy is bloody hardcore. He took me out to the classroom, told me about protections, about run schemes, and after my pro day, he was impressed.
If this guy was in college football today, he would be a first or second round draft pick.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas when you're provided a good player and doesn't have any bad habits.
a week later, I was invited to the draft.
Before we go into any thoughts, Mussy?
I'm just thinking, yeah, no, it's pretty good. For those that don't know, I think IMG, that academy is just really just all about football, right? I don't
Mhm.
think it's like your typical. Is it like, I think they play some high school football? Jordan?
Football, sports. It's an academy that's for like elite sports.
Yeah.
Like they are known for high level sports
Yeah.
across the
Yeah.
board.
No, and I was just thinking to it, and this is, and like, just for Jordan Mailata just to go through that and making it, improving his worth and his skills could be at the NFL with injury, kind of, relatively not big injuries that can derail his season, because that's, I mean, and that's why this is a risk, and this is also an opportunity for those like Jordan Mailata who just want to, it's the NFL's the goal, but like sometimes, there's always that injury factor, and then usually that university level pathway always works out, because if you don't make it NFL, at least you kind of have some other pathway you can fall back on your education. So like when Jordan Mailata doing this whole thing, right, man, it's the chance of coming out and not getting seriously injured, and you can still kind of, because he still got injured here and there, but it didn't derail his NFL opportunity. But I was just thinking, man, it's just amazing, Jordan Mailata's journey from IMG just to get through that, get to the NFL, get to his third contract now. So yeah, I'm just saying, man, I'm just glad that he was able to do that without some serious injury, because yeah, man, I mean, if a serious injury, because a lot of players, I know that we do here, they declare early for the NFL draft, things don't work out, they don't go back to school, and it's almost like it's a very, very hard transition to get back to normal life kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No, 100%. There's a couple things that come to mind. When I left Tonga Masi and I went to St. Louis, there was a similar kind of thing where you come from rugby, like we talked about. It's a lot more pattern based. You do have set plays, but it's more like situational, right? They're not as drill specific as football. And that was one of the first things I remember when I started going to football practice, was just like, dang, every little thing has like a requirement, right? Like on a certain setup on the offense, where you need to align, what you're looking for, if they have a tight end, if they have two backs, which side is the I formation leaning to, and you have to do all these adjustments.
Really makes you think like what you need to do. It's
exactly. And when you're coming from never playing anything, like it is overwhelming many times, right? And many times, like I remember when I was at St. Louis, like that whole first year, and this I don't care what anybody says, and I know Cal Lee there ain't any coach that I'm aware of that comes close to Cal Lee in my experience in football. I mean, Cal Lee, like, the guy is intense, but he could yell at you, but he doesn't feel like you're attacking you. But one of the things that St. Louis did really well for me is they taught me from the ground up, right? I would come to practice and the whole team would go and do their drills. We would do all our warm-ups and running, and then I would peel off with just one coach. And we would spend the practice doing like the simplest things, learning the A gap, the B gap, learning all this stuff, and then going into certain live situations. And it's a whole different kind of mindset. It's a whole different way of thinking. In rugby, lining up is not as critical as football is, right? In football, before the snap happens, especially when you're on defense, a lot of things have to happen, right? You have to, number one, identify the formation they're in. Then you have to identify, hey, if what we're doing is going to line up correctly with what they're doing. And I can't imagine what Jordan Mailata went through to literally make that jump into an NFL type of mentality, basically straight out of high school, because he's 19 years old, right? I mean,
pretty
much.
much.
That's intense.
Yeah, and he was still, he was still. I think he was getting paid a little bit from the NRL because it was. I think it was really low. He was pretty much going from an amateur level. He wasn't really, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
to jump and just to train to go to NFL, it's amazing, amazing. And I
Well,
think it really helps. Like I said, I think it really helps when the younger you start to try to go to the NFL. It helps you a lot to really kind of absorb that information and deal with.
exactly.
You're gonna come to points you're gonna feel overwhelmed, and it's gonna take time. And I think the younger you are, the better you are to overcome that. The older you are, and I feel like Jared Hayne and Valentine Holmes do have the ability, physical ability to make it. It's the like
Absorption
what you
of the
said.
information. Yeah.
Yes.
In a short
Yes.
amount of time.
Yes.
And it's rewiring the way your brain works, because their brain is wired to think and react a certain way. Like I remember, dude, like my first year at St. Louis, I remember talking to Danny Nunga, and I was like, hey guys, I think I'm just gonna call it quits. We'll reach back out to the Panthers, the Penrith Panthers, and just be, hey, look, I don't care. I'll just come on as a walk-on. Because your human nature is, when you come against something that's difficult, your human nature is go back to what you're comfortable with. Go back, and credit to Danny and Unga, they gave me the good advice to kind of stick it out, because I was struggling, because I was coming to practice every day, and for a whole year you feel like the dummy, and you're just not catching on, right? But then all of a sudden that summer before my senior year, it just like all of a sudden everything just clicked, and then it made sense.
Yeah,
but until that
you
point,
can
it was
instinctively
frustrating.
react. Yes, yeah.
And so, I mean, he had the learning curve that Jordan had to go through is huge. And the other thing I wanted to mention, Masi, and this is really important, especially for the younger listeners, or if you have children that are coming up in sports. Number one is, getting that video highlight is critical. And then really just understanding, like you were mentioning earlier, Masi, if you have all the physical talent in the world, you still have to be lucky, which is why you have to, it's a must. You must have a backup plan, because even if you're the fastest, the strongest, the biggest, the most amazing, you get hurt, done, right? It doesn't matter how strong you are, but if you can't get on the field, you're useless to your team. Then the other one is, you need the right people at the right time. And this is what Jordan Mailata's story is showing here. With all that natural capability, he needed the right people to see his highlight video at the right time when they were going to work out someone else, but they find him out. And then to run into the Eagles coach, to have a coach who, number one, knows the knowledge that needs to be taught to Jordan, and then to have the vision to be like, dude, we can build this guy up to be a high caliber athlete in the NFL, and use this program, how to properly use this program to the advantage of the team. There's not a lot of NFL teams who are built to take on this type of program, because the NFL is such a high demand, high production. Exactly. You either produce or you're gone, right? Like there's no more, we'll help build you up, we'll spend. That's the reason why the NFL probably gave those extra spots, because if you don't do that, no team's going to waste an extra spot on a player like this.
Yeah. And that's the great thing about the NFL adapting. I mean, that's organizations that don't adapt, and NFL adapted that way because they know franchise management of each team is not going to take a risk on somebody who's never played football to go count against the 53. So NFL adapting to kind of, because I think you and I agree, just for those who don't understand the market in the US, the NFL already dominates the US market. Like viewings, everything.
It's not
NFL,
even close.
not
NBA,
even close.
Everybody likes to talk about the NBA.
No,
NBA doesn't even come close. It's
Not
really
even
good
close.
for the individual players, but as a sport and market share, not even close.
Not even close. And the NFL, they're already thinking for bigger, better things. They're already going into Mexico. They're selling out stadiums in Mexico, London. I think Germany this past season, they sold out the stadium there, I think in 7 minutes. That's how crazy. I think it was 1,000 seat stadium in Germany. So NFL, this is part of their being the big dog in the all of sports. They're thinking bigger, and this is part of their plan to make it easier and dominate kind of like the global sport. They're making it easier for franchises to take chances on international players. So NFL, man, they're doing a lot of things right.
Yeah, they're on a different level. Level. Sweet. Let's jump in here and continue.
I'll
here.
never forget the day I got drafted.
We were into the third day, and we didn't have a lot of picks in that draft. There's certain players that you couldn't live with yourself if you saw them have success somewhere else. It would have haunted all of us if we didn't get Jordan.
It just so happens that we were in this very room with Mr. Laurie and Howie in 7th round, and they called me in and once again asked me some questions. And Howie, doing what he does the best, moved up in front of Pittsburgh.
I remember.
So not only did they draft him, they traded up to pick him up.
Yeah.
Like that's especially in the 7th round. I mean, that is saying we like the other guy was saying, we have to have this guy. We're not going to spend our 1st round on him. It is, we have to have him, and we just want to make sure nobody gets him. We're going to trade up, even in the 7th round, to get him.
Yeah.
Turning to Coach Peterson and Mr. Lurie and saying, like, I'm going to go get this guy.
Hello, Jordan speaking.
Jordan.
Howie, how's it going?
Doing great, man. We just traded up to get you in the 7th round. We're picking you right now. You're an Eagle.
I love
bro.
seeing reactions of players who get drafted.
Thanks, Howie.
We get a phone call from Jordan, and he tells us that he's about to walk on stage.
Come here, man. Yes, Jordan.
And I heard them call his name as the 233rd pick. And I remember sitting, bawling my eyes out.
I think something really important here is when you're backing yourself, don't be surprised or upset if people are upset with you and your choice, right? But if you really believe in yourself, if nobody's upset with you, then it's not as difficult or complex as you think it is, right? Like if you're really betting on yourself and really standing up and saying, I'm making a statement, if nobody is saying to you you're crazy or you're making a mistake, then you're not really playing high stakes here. Like Jordan leaving, like his sister is saying, it's like, dude, what the heck are you doing?
Never held a football
Exactly.
before, and he's gonna go and pursue this.
Exactly. You know, especially when the NRL was a potential option still.
Yeah.
Right. And to think like you're just going to throw that all away and go and do something you've never been done somewhere you've never been. But when it pays off, this is what it gets. This is what you get.
With the 233rd pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jordan Mailata, tackle, Sydney, Australia.
The Eagles just traded up to take a South Sydney Rabbitoh.
Hometown, Bankstown, Sydney, Australia. You know, Bankstown, 2200.
This boy did not touch a pigskin until he went over there. He had never played a snap of American football.
That's amazing.
His entire life.
Yeah.
And they put me on the phone with him. I said, Jordan, remember this. You have to trust me as your coach.
Not having any experience in an NFL locker room, I still had to earn that sense of belonging. I wanted people to respect me.
He never had to use his hands before. As an offensive lineman has to. Every single day before we got started, we would work with his hands. We did this religiously. The technique, the footwork, the set lines, the departure angles, the constant coaching that was going on accelerated his learning curve.
I was playing catch up, trying to learn the technique, watching film. I didn't want to waste that opportunity. I didn't want to be a failure. I didn't want to let down my family. There were a couple times early on in 2019 when I thought about, is this what I really want to do? And just thinking about home. I was injured. I was on IR.
I reminded everybody, and I know this was going to take time. And I told him many, many times, there's going to come a point in time, you're going to feel like it's all starting to come together for you.
Week 1, 2020 season, Jack Driscoll goes in, he starts the game, he's having a heck of a game. He started cramping.
Well, now this just happened.
He starts jogging off to the sideline. I'm like, well, who's up next? And everyone's looking at me like, oh, it's me.
And now Jordan Mailata, the 7th round draft pick of 2018, the rugby player, never played a down of football. Well, guess what? He's in there at right tackle right now.
Snap the ball and going against Ryan Kerrigan. Oh, it was terrifying. I just knew that if my time ever came, I was going to make the most of it. 2020 season comes around and finally get my chance.
Jordan Mailata just wipes people out.
He's just bending people. It's just a tsunami of power.
He clears space.
Last year, it started to click. I think that's when he developed the confidence that, I can be really good at this.
Seeing on the back of his shoulders my latte, I'm so incredibly proud.
Former rugby star Jordan Mailata probably going to stick with football now after signing a
$64 million.
No NRL player is going to ever see that kind of money in their life.
No. No, not even close.
Yeah.
For NRL, like $1 million a year is a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? Like when Jason Taumalolo got that 10-year, $10 million deal.
That was a big deal. Yeah.
That was big deal, man. And they're already like, oh, did we pay Taumalolo too much money? And then you got Jordan here 4 years, 64 million.
Yeah. Different level, man. Different level.
Well, and that's the thing. Different level in a couple of years. I mean, the learning curve this guy went through is phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And kind of like he mentioned earlier, like, dude, if you're doing difficult things, if you ever doubt yourself, that's normal. The question is, are you going to keep pushing through? Like he was saying, it's like, oh, I was injured. Is this what I really want to do? And, those are the questions you got to not only ask yourself, but you better have the right answer when those questions come up.
Man, and you're talking about being in Pennsylvania where maybe the population of other Polynesians, he was by nobody, not family. I mean, different kind of way people behave.
Oh,
different, like East Coast. East Coast is a lot different than West Coast. There's a lot more Polynesian. There's a chance that you will run into other Polynesian families, but Jordan Mailata, man, it's amazing just those obstacles he had to overcome.
He's on his own little Polynesian island on the East Coast.
Correct. Yeah. Other than his teammates, because I know there was a couple of teammates on the team.
Polynesian, yeah. Maybe it was just him and what's the Vaisikahema?
Yeah. And I think that during that time, they had that other Tongan guy that Vaikai, I think he's with the Lions.
He was the one with the long hair next to him.
Yeah.
That's O-line as well.
That's Isaac Seumalo. There's another Samoan.
That's another Samoan guy.
So there was quite a few. Other than the players, like he said, when he wasn't with the team because he was injured. That's probably where he felt the loneliest. That's what that's what you ask questions about. To yourself, do I want this? Am I really progressing enough? Am I, But man, kudos on him. Keep going, man.
Not 100%.
Year, $64 million extension with the Eagles.
I just remember talking to my agent. He explained to me that, we had agreed to a 4 year, $64 million deal, and I couldn't believe it. And I was re-signing with the Eagles to be their left tackle.
There we go.
It doesn't sound real. I tried to put into words how I felt, and how do you put into words that kind of feeling where you're speaking to your younger sibling knowing that they've changed the course of every generation to follow and changed the Mailata generation forever. That's what Jordan's done. When you think of the greater impact that he's had on the Polynesian community, kids from Sydney, like kids from Bankstown, who are scared to try something new.
I think what I'm most proud of with Jordan, he still remains the same person as he left.
He's loyal. He's a fierce protector. He's the best of us.
What do you think this impact has on that international pathway program? I mean, there gotta be like, people are kind of like, man, if there's one thing NFL teams are good at, for sure, is when another team finds a way to do something really well, they're like, well, we got to do that too, right? Like, whenever a team comes up with something that works, other teams are like, well, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah.
I mean, this has to have like a huge impact on that international pathway, because if you're not taking advantage of it, you're basically just not using a slot, right?
Yeah.
If the NFL is saying, hey, we'll give you, how many slots was it? 1 or 2 extra slots?
I think so, 1 or 2, because I know 53 is the
cutoff.
You're cut off. You can't take any more players. But if you have an international player, part of the international pathway, you can take them in, be your 54. They can be part of your squad moving forward, but it won't count against you. So yeah, there's that opportunity. So it's probably not easy. A lot of NFL guys are these guys coming up, but like if there's an opportunity, you would think a lot of NFL franchises will take that chance.
Yeah, I mean, after you see someone like Jordan, and then you see basically it's an open slot that you're not taking advantage of, why not? Why not go find a friggin' 6'8", 340 pounds that's running the 40 and 5 flat? It's crazy.
Tua, so I have a question, right? So I feel like it's good that Jordan Mailata, he's done well, but we all know, when do you think, because he's very loyal, and I think that's a common trait, right? Common trait against all Polynesian. But do you think that, as long as the Eagles keep him through and treating him right, do you think, because we all know that sometimes you can be loyal to a franchise, but they're getting something back to it, right? I'm sure Jordan, yes, they've blessed Jordan Mailata's life and given him the opportunity, but at the same time, he's also paying them back by producing on the field, right? Doing the best. So it goes both ways. But I'm just thinking, when do you draw the line with your loyalty? You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
Because we all know. There's other great players too that's been on certain franchises, and then when they're done, they're done. They're done, right? And the NFL does, and that's why I think the NFL is so great at doing these videos and stuff. There's emotional attachment to certain franchises that your first pick and stuff. And I feel like a lot of and I feel like it's funny how some players, when they already know that they see the NFL as a business, they treat it as a business, and then once they're done, they're not too affected to whatever that if they're injured and then they can't be the same player, and then they're all of a sudden cut, and then everything else what they've done to the franchise is almost like didn't exist. So I'm just trying to because I feel like Mailata is already up to that stage now. I feel like he's already paid back the Eagles franchise, right, by producing really well, being a good left tackle, and the product on the field is really good that he's producing. Now he's getting on his strike, and the Eagles have paid him really well with the brand new contract. But to me, that's going to be the next level for Jordan Mailata. I just hope that he can be able not to because we all know loyalty. You do that to your family, but when you do it sometimes to a cutthroat business, and if something does happen to you, and then you feel like they don't treat you the same, and they just cut you, that can take a toll on you emotionally, mentally, right? So I'm just saying to it, like, where, that's gonna, to me, that's the next stage. But
I mean, the to me, the good news for Jordan, because you're right, there comes a time, and even there comes a time where it is a business, right? I mean, and granted, the Eagles, they didn't just make an emotional decision either. They made a business decision when they picked up Mailata, right? They weren't being charitable there. They were just like, hey, look, here's the cost, here's the opportunity. It makes sense for us to take a chance on Jordan because it's not taking a seat from another player. They place their bet as well. Like, oh, if it doesn't work out, we can just let him go. So number one, always recognizing that it's not a charity, and that if you made an NFL squad, it's because you earned it, right?
On your own merit. Yeah,
exactly. And really, the biggest thing is listen to your agent, right? Don't that's the biggest thing. Hopefully, Jordan will learn is because as human beings, we naturally have that attachment. We can't get around it, right? Like Jordan is always going to have that attachment, and he should just let his agent do the work for him. Because why? The agent is going to go and look for the best business decision, right? Because the agent gets a cut off of the deal, how big the deal is. So the agents are always going to go look for what the biggest deal is out there.
Yeah.
And so hopefully he can do that and not make an emotional decision, because it's a business. It's not run on emotion. It's run on transactions. So hopefully he makes that decision.
Yeah, because when you get a new coach, you get a new
things change.
New management, general manager, and even new ownership. They don't have any ties. They're gonna do things their own way. And if you're not doing anything for them the past season, you're only good from your last season. Then they're gonna move on to the next guy because there's 3 other guys waiting behind your slot. So I just hope, to me, that's the next level of Mailata, because I feel like he's whatever happens, he's good financially, and I just hope he just takes care of what's going to happen after football. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. And he's going to be in a position, and the NFL has done a really good job to try and improve it, because a lot of these athletes lose so much money, overspend it, that I hope I know the NFL does a really good job at this now, providing you financial advisors and so forth to help you get ready for what's next. But trust your agent, man. He got you the 64 million. He got you the 100 million. I think he's earned the right to make whatever decision they think is best for the next one.
And that's going to be the funny thing to it, because for that, we're talking about that last. If he goes injury, not any big injury, major injuries that happen, he has opportunity to make one big one. And if the agent might give him, that could probably create a dilemma in the future. If the agent says it could be with the other team, we'll see. You know what I mean? Then
that's when Jordan will have to make his decision, where the agent's going to come and say, hey, the Seahawks or someone else is going to offer you 100 million again, but the Eagles are only offering 70 million. Well, for me, it's a no-brainer. I love the Eagles, but we're Seahawks now.
Yeah. And you've got to look at it in the lens of business, and hopefully, that's the next level that Jordan Mailata is definitely going to be walking, because I think he's already paid back for what the Eagles took a chance on him, and the Eagles have paid him a significant amount of money. So that's what I was just thinking when the sister kind of mentioned how he's loyal, and a lot of Polynesian athletes are very loyal. Be loyal, and then to a certain extent, that's probably not good when you're not being equally treated right.
And to me, loyal is fine as long as you're willing to understand that people can take advantage of that, and you have to be willing to be like, I'm fine. If they choose to take advantage of me, I knew that risk existed, and I'll just take my lickings and move on. But it is human nature that you be loyal and somebody's not loyal back to you. We like to cry about it, but really you have to recognize it takes two people or two parties to make a loyalty transaction work. If only one side is loyal and the other one isn't, don't be surprised. And if you don't want to risk it, let the agents make the deal for you.
Yep. Great point.
They're representing our family name, the Mailata. That's the correct way to say it, guys. Mailata on the back of the jersey for the world to see.
Maria. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one thing I think rugby jerseys, even rugby union and league, they need to put names on the jerseys, man. That's what I feel like they need to do, but I don't know why they don't do that.
Yeah, and they I think it would help with jersey sales.
Yes.
Right? Like it's a way to take advantage of selling. Like somebody buys a number 6, right, in NRL. That number 6 is always number 6. Yeah, but if it's number 6 and it's a specific name, when a new player comes on, a new star, then the fans are motivated to buy another jersey because why? Oh, it doesn't have the new guy's name on it.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that make sense.
Well, and I was just thinking too, because probably the last person that was the global superstar there in rugby union and just and rugby league is Jonah Lomu, and you know how during that era All Blacks did everything they can to really suppress Jonah Lomu.
Yeah.
Right. Really suppress him, and and to me, I was just thinking when you talk about loyalty, that was probably in the demise of Jonah Lomu still being loyal to the black jersey, and it didn't end so well, but
no, 100%.
That's because that's what I was thinking. Jonah Lomu, man,
he was too loyal, in my opinion.
Way too loyal, and he didn't get anything out of that. Actually, All Blacks continue to suppress him to make him even equal amongst his teammates. But we know he was a bona fide superstar.
Yeah,
and I'm, these guys of Carter and I don't even know the other guy's name. That number
Jimmy
7.
McCall. Yeah,
they're not on the same level because I always use this example to Jonah Lomu still the only global superstar in Jonah Lomu because there's people in Midwest America, especially like in that Texas and stuff, that still remember Jonah Lomu when the Dallas Cowboys were gonna get him.
Yeah,
and those guys don't even know any other rugby player. But if you say Jonah Lomu, there's a good chance they say, "Oh, I remember Jerry Jones trying to get a rugby guy to come to
exactly."
Dallas. So that's, and I feel like maybe there's a reason why rugby don't put names. They don't like to up an individual. They're still very old, medieval times of keeping everybody in line. It's all about the union or the organized NZRU or whatever, ARU, whatever the union you come from. It's very old thinking that way. But I'm just thinking I think there's a reason why they don't put names like that.
No, 100%. It's the same reason why rugby union didn't go professional for so long, because they were like, we're gentlemen. It'll ruin the spirit of the game, right? That's why the NRL or the rugby league and rugby union split.
Correct.
The split was because, the quote unquote rich guys didn't want to pay guys to go to training. But then you have the guys working in the mines and stuff is like, well, dude, I got to feed my family. And you're having the training. And so that's where that split with rugby league and rugby union happened. And then it wasn't until rugby union almost died that they actually went pro, because they were dying, right? And they are dying, and then they look across and the NRL is top notch.
Yeah, they're on a trajectory upward by far.
Yeah. And then the interesting, like you were saying, Jonah Lomu said he had an offer from the Cowboys on the table in one of the interviews or whatever that he did, and he said no, because why? He wanted to be in the All Blacks jersey, right? And we all know NFL money was definitely way more than whatever the All Blacks were giving him.
To be honest, I don't know, I could be wrong here, I could be. I don't know. I think if Jonah Lomu went to the NFL, went to Texas, and got better treatment with his kidney disease that he was facing, I think he would still be alive today.
Well, yeah, they would have picked that up.
Picked it up, probably
They
gave
would
him
have
better
picked that
treatment.
up.
Because I'm just thinking back in those days, just the medical, just how just lacking. Only recently they've only gotten better and stuff. But man, they were letting Jonah Lomu play when he wasn't 100%. And the whole treatment and stuff. And I feel like I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing.
Yeah, some
ideas
thoughts
there.
out there. Yeah, no, 100%. And really, I used to be an All Blacks fan. Obviously, when I was growing up, the mid 90s. And the first time I remember getting frustrated as an All Blacks fan when I was younger, before I decided to become a Wallabies fan, was everybody knew Jonah Lomu was the weapon, right? And then all of a sudden you would watch some games and they would never give Jonah the ball. It was like they were purposely like, we can win without Jonah. And I was like, dude, give the guy the ball. You know what I mean? And then it wasn't until things got really bad, then all of a sudden Jonah would start to get the ball.
Yeah.
And it comes, I think it was, they were trying to prove a point, right?
Yeah.
That
We can succeed
Rugby
without
union
you.
is bigger than you, Jonah.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah. You're getting a little too much attention. And so, and that's when, and then it was the first time I saw that treatment. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, how come in the off years from the World Cup you're giving what is it? Pita Tuipolotu. There was a handful of Tongan guys. They would make them All Blacks for like 1 or 2 games,
2 test matches, yeah,
and then drop them. Right? Because I would get so excited. I was like, man, they got like 3 new Tongan guys on the team. And then all of a sudden World Cup comes, drop all of them. And then the typical guys get picked. And then you all of a sudden you hear, then when I start to understand the rules are, once they pick you, make you committed to a nation, can't play for anyone else. That's when I would, and I would watch the Wallabies. The Wallabies wouldn't do that. Like if you got picked for the Wallabies, you had to really suck in performance and then they would drop you, right? Oh, it was Pita Alatini. Like you have Pita Alatini and he would be scoring tries, and then World Cup, don't make it.
Not picked.
Right. And so I was just like, hey, and then that's when I kind of became disenfranchised with the All Blacks, was because of that.
Yeah. No, and that's what I was saying when they say loyalty. And I just hope, Mailata that's the next level. Don't get caught up with your feelings, because I feel like, we're trying to relate it to what Jonah Lomu went through. Jonah Lomu really was too loyal, but the other party did not care.
Did not reciprocate that type of loyalty.
Yeah. So, just to be careful, and either for any Polynesians, because I feel like a lot of Polynesian athletes, both men and women, they're very, very loyal. It's kind of, because you're loyal to your family. So that's transferable to other things, but just be careful with that. Yeah.
Yes. So really what it is, it's a contract extension.
Correct. Extension
right?
from his current one he's having
his
right
current
now.
one. So really they're saying, hey, dude, we want to lock him in longer. We don't want him to go onto the market and negotiate.
Correct.
We want to lock him in, which is a big thing. That's the Eagles saying, dude, we need to lock. He's worth the investment. And look at this bad boy right there.
Signing bonus, right? What signing bonus means to us, right? Once you sign that extension,
it's in the bank account.
Next minute you check your bank account, it's there. Like that's the good thing about these signing bonuses, because that's the big deal. That's the big deal with the NFL when you negotiate your contract, is what's your signing bonus. So man,
it starts with guaranteed money and signing bonus, right?
Correct.
Like those, because at least with the guaranteed money, regardless of injury or whatever, that's coming to me. And then, like you said, what am I gonna go buy once I sign on the dotted line? Depends on what the signing bonus looks like. And right there, he could go and buy a NRL team with the signing bonus right there.
NRL team, and on top of that, still build a home for his parents.
A couple homes.
A couple homes. a couple homes.
So right here it says, just in, the Eagles left tackle Jordan Mailata reached agreement on a 3-year, $66 million extension that includes 48. Look at that, 48 million guaranteed. That is so. Right off the bat, he's that extension alone gave him 68 million in his pocket.
Beautiful.
That is fantastic, man. And so he's locked in until the 2028 season. See, I had Jordan Mailata just turned 27 on Sunday. Wow, dude, what a birthday. What a birthday gift right there.
What a birthday present.
Has exceeded all expectations since being the 7th round pick by the Eagles in 2018. Longtime professional rugby player, the Pathway program.
Yeah.
Just kind of just, you know, this is just really cool. And just so that people understand here, I do have a couple highlights of Jordan in the NFL. Let me see if I can find it. There's a couple highlights we can walk through.
Yeah. And you know, like a lot of the plays, especially when they run those screens and stuff, a lot of it is through his side because of his mobility for a left tackle.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see here. Here's some blocks.
Absolute favorite plays from this season, and I want to single-handedly point out this one play before getting into the entire breakdowns of the game. Is this one here. Packers are going to send pressure here. They're sending 5 guys initially off the line, but it will be a 6.
And the reason why I picked this, there's a couple others, but one of the reasons why I picked this play is I think this is a prime example as to what he has learned and why he's worth $68 million guaranteed in your pocket, and that doesn't include what he's already made. So there's a real possibility he's just under $100 million.
Yes,
since he joined the NFL, which is, but this play right here, you'll see what he does when it looks like he's done everything that he can. It's these type of plays right here, and some of these other ones that we'll show is the difference between, you know, an average left tackle and $100 million left tackle.
Man, pressure at the end. They're going to overload this side here with 4 players, and then they're going to send the defensive end here at the end. Eagles are in 7-man protection. It's man across the board. So over here, they're going to be stunting with a tick game here. 96 is going to go outside, 55 inside, 91 is going to pinch as well. 26 will be on the blitz. Now, 26 will be picked up by Boston Scott right here. Mailata is punching 91 inside, so everything over here is taken well care of. Now, on the backside, you have the defensive end who's rushing upfield. He's getting chip blocked by Ertz, while Driscoll is looking solely at him. Now, 24 will be coming on the delayed blitz up for Hurts. He has a free shot at him. Now, he gets the ball off before. Why do I love this play? Because if we look at it from the wide view here, look at Mailata punching this guy inside. Now, through the entire line right here, he notices the free rusher who's coming to the backside, and at the very last second,
look at that.
Reaches him and puts him on the turf before he can get to Hurts.
You're talking about literally a left tackle noticing a delayed blitz from the opposite side.
Yeah,
like that's another level of detail.
That is $100 million level right there.
Yes.
Right, and that is how much he's grown mentally and understanding the game, right? Like if something's too good, then you need to know that means the weakness or the attack is coming somewhere else, right? So what Jordan is really showing there is, I did my job, everything's taken care of, and I said, what else can I do?
Yes.
See, that's the next level. Yes,
that's the next, because you wouldn't get, when you go back and do your film work, right? You wouldn't get blamed if the quarterback gets hit.
Exactly.
Right? Because you've done your job. But
exactly,
you went beyond your responsibility, and that's the thing. Looks like the quarterback, I think that was Wentz, he got the ball away, but it's those, you know, those hits that kind of take a toll on the quarterback.
That's how people get hurt.
Preventing those hits, preventing those hits, you know, goes a big kind of determines your season, because a quarterback is that important if you're gonna make it to the playoff or not. So
No,
yeah,
100%.
Just
And remember,
that's amazing.
remember, like we said earlier, what is the pride? Why does the left tackle get paid so much money?
Yeah.
That's the insurance policy to keep your quarterback safe. And when you block like that and go the extra mile,
Yeah.
I'll pay you $100 million. So you, over X amount of years, because you're protecting my other $100 million player.
Yeah.
Right. In my quarterback. And that's the most important player, because why? They touch the ball every play and I got to protect them.
Yeah.
Here's another highlight right here. They'll highlight here. Look at Mailata right here.
Boom.
Yeah.
Cleans out that cornerback or safety.
One of my
Yes. And what's crazy about it is this is what makes this really cool is we'll try and find it right here. Look right there. Oh shoot. Let's go back. If you pay attention right here, come back a little bit more. A little bit more. This receiver was supposed to tackle, was trying to block this guy first.
What was it, like a somewhat engage and then work to the next level to that other guy?
Because he's the primary threat.
Yes.
He's the primary threat to make the play. He's the closest defender. But
looks like that's the tight end.
The tight end or 88, the tight end or the receiver right there. He needs to stop that guy because he's the closest to stop him, but he's out of position. Right? He's out of position, and Jordan comes all the way from the line of scrimmage and makes that play.
Blows him up.
You know, there's endless. And then I wanted to show one, you know, there's a reason why Mr. Mailata is $100 million man. It is not by chance. Here's some other highlights right here.
Oh, is this, who's that? What's that guy? Bosa? He's considered like the best DN in the, probably in the NFL.
Yes. Nick Bosa, right?
Nick Bosa.
And granted, he kind of gets on a couple play, he beats Jordan. But dude, Jordan's been playing for 4 years. Nick Bosa has been, like, in college was a superstar, been a superstar, and he's been playing since he was a little kid.
Yeah.
And Jordan, number one, Jordan blocks him multiple times, and not just blocked him, one-on-one.
That's pretty amazing.
You know, and we'll see that in some of these highlights as we'll watch here is not only, I mean, there's got the best O lineman can't even block Nick Bosa in the double team. In a double team.
Yeah.
They can't even block him.
Yeah. For a DN, Nick Bosa is like generally accepted in the NFL as the best DN right now.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah.
So we'll see in some of these highlights where Jordan's just one-on-one with him. See, like right there.
One-on-one.
One-on-one.
Oh, that's when he, yeah. Look at that. He's confused. Go, look at that.
Yeah.
Because that's a tall task going one-on-one.
This is why you make $100 million.
Yeah.
See right there, one-on-one.
Yeah, one-on-one. Yeah.
Did a good job.
Yep.
Look at that, one-on-one again.
One-on-one.
With a guy who 5 years ago didn't even know how to play.
Yeah.
Look at that. We're talking about consistently throughout the game, the best D lineman on the other team, one-on-one.
Yeah.
With Jordan. That one he got a pretty good. He got Jordan
rush.
beat a little bit, yeah. But I mean, 1-on-1,
yeah,
phenomenal. Look at that, another 1-on-1. Like the whole game is 1-on-1.
Yeah.
One thing I would love to say to all the staff at ACI is
So-
thank you, because you took someone that knew. little to
Obviously, the
nothing.
Eagles trust him so much to a lot of plays now are designed for Jordan Mailata to be like, that's the strength of the O-line, and they're kind of trying to cover whoever's like the weaker, interior or probably even the right side, because seems like moving forward now that Kelsey is retired, the center.
That's the anchor now of that
yes.
O-line.
Yeah.
So
So
really,
we're
I mean,
gonna
once
see a
again,
lot more
super
1-on-1.
exciting news. Jordan Mailata, once again, congratulations to him. This is a
Good on
big
you.
deal, and really can't overstate what opportunities for Polynesians around the world now. Not only is he a huge inspiration for Polynesians here in the United States on betting on yourself, fighting hard, going into unfamiliar environments, staying dedicated, working hard, and just being ready for an opportunity, and then just going the extra mile, and congratulations to him, and
Yeah.
look
Big
forward to
congratulations.
watching him for a few more years as an Eagle.
Yeah.
Any kind of additional thoughts, Masi?
No, big props to Jordan Mailata. Like I said, a lot of my following of the NFL is on Tongan players and Samoan players, and every time I watch the Eagles game, I'm always looking at Jordan Mailata. So very, very happy for him, and this is a good example for Polynesians who feel like they can do more or feel like they're being undervalued. Take a risk.
Yep.
There's a lot of opportunities elsewhere, and even if you do make it, that's awesome. And if you don't, at least you can live with yourself saying, at least I tried. So yeah.
No, 100%. And honestly, I think you mentioned something really important there, Masi, is we don't want to be the guy sitting in the garage at 60 years old saying, what if?
Yeah.
Right. And granted, great for Jordan backing himself and saying, hey, NRL, if you're not interested in me, well, I'm gonna go somewhere and make something of myself to see who else is interested out there. And I think that's an important lesson for all of us, is if you really believe something, go out and do it. Don't get discouraged that other people aren't supporting you. Sometimes they're doing it from a good place,
yes,
where they're saying, hey, we just care about you, and and all that stuff. And that's great. We appreciate that. But at some point, if nobody's upset with you, then maybe you're playing it a little too safe.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree with that.
Cool. With that being said, we appreciate everybody. Thank you for joining us on this episode. Till we see you next time.